So, there have been a number of YouTube videos made by atheists and other religious skeptics regarding the philosophical argument for God's existence that has come to be known as Pascal's wager. The general thrust of philosopher and mathematician Blaise Pascal's argument, which has been repeated by other religious believers, is this. If atheists are right and believers are wrong, then the believer loses nothing when they die since they cease to exist after death. However, if the believers are right and the atheists are wrong, the atheist loses everything as they are eternally damned. The problem with this reasoning has been explored by a number of people, many of whom are on YouTube, and I figure that I'll contribute to it as well. The primary problem with this argument is the problem of inconsistent revelation, which some of us have taken to colloquially calling the avoiding the wrong hell problem. It fallaciously assumes that there are only two options, one's own religion and atheism. And that's a logic that has a big flaw in it. Namely, that just because you believe in a certain God does not mean that you'll be safe from the punishment or judgment of some other God or supernatural force. For example, according to most evangelical Christians, a Zoroastrian who lives most of his life devoted to the beneficent god Ahura Mazda will still go to hell because he has not accepted Jesus Christ as personal Lord and Savior. By the same token, the devout evangelical Christian who has always believed in the Bible and believes not in good works as the key to salvation, but sola fide, or faith alone, faith in God's grace alone, might be in deep trouble if, when she dies, she is not confronted by the Christian God, but goes into the presence of the Egyptian jackal-headed death god Anubis and finds that her heart is not lighter than a feather and is consequently eaten by the monster that Anubis keeps around just for such occasions. In addition, if the God that exists is the all-knowing, all-seeing kind proposed by most of the Abrahamic faiths, won't it know that your apparent devotion isn't the result of sincere piety, but essentially a gamble? An omniscient being that judges the souls of men and women would be able to see that instantly. What way is there to know that such a being wouldn't condemn such people to the fires of hell or a lower station in the reincarnation cycle or some other horrible punishment? What's more, the assumption that there is no cost to living and dying in the life of faith is problematic, for you see there are many small but significant joys in this life that might be missed out on if one follows certain faiths. For example, I and many other children raised in Word of Faith and other fundamentalist groups do not have fond memories of trick-or-treating as small children because we were told that the entire Halloween holiday was demonic and did not please God. So we never went dressed up, trick-or-treating in costumes, going door to door, collecting candy, and we never even carved jack-o'-lanterns out of pumpkins. Instead, we turned out the lights to our house and did not answer when people rang our doorbell. We sat inside and watched Trinity Broadcasting Network's alternative to Halloween, where the idea was reinforced that scary demonic forces were especially active on that night. Wonderful image for children, right? As they go to bed. As a child, I was so happy when the morning of November 1st came and I knew that I didn't have to deal with this for another year. Another example is this. A nun or a priest might never know the joys of a healthy romantic or sexual relationship because they believe that they are in the service of a higher being and they must abstain from that sort of thing. More significantly, a child of Jehovah's Witnesses may be encouraged to refuse a life-saving blood transfusion because of the belief that that sect holds that one must abstain from blood. I could go on regarding faith healing and genital mutilation and a number of other things, but you get the idea. Depending on the faith, there could be a great cost of living with a belief in God. And if this truly is the only life we get, in which to experience happiness and joy, what a waste it would be to throw that all away for a faith that probably isn't true.